tell me where I want to really know two things. One,
Okay.
where did you learn to be a therapist? Where did you go to school for your education? And then when was it that you're like, yes, this is what I want to do in my life?
So I did my undergraduate at the University of Utah, which was in sociology. And I had a pretty big interest also in criminal justice at that time. I had been like a juvenile probation officer at the time when I was going through my undergrad. So I was also very curious about that. And then that really launched me into what am I going to do for my graduate degree? Like I knew I wanted to be some sort of therapist-ish social worker. And so then I looked into a master's of social work, which brought me here to Portland. And I went to Portland State University for their master's of social work program. And then to become a licensed clinical social worker, you have to do an additional 2 years 2,000 hours, clinical hours that are supervised. And then you take a test to be able to be a licensed clinical social worker.
And is that a countrywide policy or is that a state policy?
The 2,000 hours?
Yeah.
Countrywide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a license that's recognized. It's not like lawyers and doctors. You have to be licensed in the state or...
Oh, you're licensed in the state, but
licensed,
that licensing process is, I think, around the country, or maybe different states have different numbers of how many hours you need to have. But I can only practice this license in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and...
Sorry, is that what you were asking? Yeah.
It's interesting because so much of the work I imagine is remote, on Zoom.
Yeah, now it is after COVID. It was never that way.
Oh,
I had
really?
literally never done a virtual session before COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, 2020 just changed the landscape of therapy, really.
How does it compare, serving people remotely versus in person?
Yeah. Well, at first, it was such a challenge to go from in-person, being with other bodies, with other nervous systems in real time to a video. So that was a big jump for all of us, or for me. So I feel like I had to learn kind of how to be a therapist again when I'm not sitting with you or not making eye contact. My energy, my body isn't in the same room with you. So that was a big jump. But I would say now, actually I had a client today be like, okay, this potential client, do you prefer in-person or do you prefer virtual? And I was like, I prefer in-person for the obvious reasons, but you can do just as good a work in virtual. So the way it compares is that you're just not with the body. And so, but you kind of just like, the screen kind of goes away, especially if you're in that level of attunement. It's not, the screen isn't as...
Yeah, I guess it's really
impacted.
about, on some level, it's about definition, right? It's about like granularity. Like when I'm looking at you, if I don't move my head, right, I could just be looking at like an ultra, HD screen.
It's true.
Unless it's
and with AI,
around, right?
like you can be looking at a
Yeah.
person without it being the actual person.
Yeah, and I
So-
tried on the, I haven't bought them, but the Meta and Apple headset, the Vision Pro, like the Vision Pro especially, is the quality of the spatial video is
Really?
just like you're looking at me right now.
Wow.
You get a little bit on the sides from where the
Yeah.
thing fits your head, but it looks wild. Like you just think, where does that go from here? It's got to be the next computing platform for sure. But I want to ask you about your foray into psilocybin. So
Okay.
how do you, there's so many things I want to ask. Why did you
have all the
decide
time
to
in the
be licensed? Why did you decide to become a licensed psilocybin facilitator?
Okay. So I can just say what I want personally.
Anything you want. Yeah, just you and I here.
Okay. So something to know about me is I was raised in Utah. So I was raised in a Mormon culture, which no drugs, no alcohol, no substances. So I was raised in that time of like, just say no, drugs are bad. So I had broken away from that framework kind of in my teenage years, really. And so I started like, having alcohol or whatever. but I never touched, I think I did some marijuana, but I'd never touched a psychedelic drug in my life until my son was 18 months or 2 years old, when I realized, like, I have to do some deeper work here to be a conscious parent. Like, I've devoted my life to personal development. I really am invested in that. But there was still so much work I could feel that needed to be done. And so I was also really had a hard time postpartum. And so I was eventually took a little bit of an SSRI. But knowing, like, that didn't actually change anything. I wasn't actually feeling any better. I was more like, this is just masking something, and maybe it's taking a little bit of the edge off. But this isn't who I want to be. It didn't feel like myself. But I knew that I needed, like, to do something bigger. And I had been curious about psilocybin for a long time prior to that, and kind of been, like, looking into it, researching it a bit. And then I did my first journey, and so I've literally never used it recreationally. Like, I've used it for healing.
Only for healing.
Yeah.
And would you describe that sensation of having a difficult time as being a feeling across your body, or a vague feeling of discomfort, or was it very specific for something in your past where you felt like this is an acute event that I really haven't been able to overcome?
Which, when I was postpartum or after having, I noticed that it was a regulation issue. Like, I wasn't able to regulate in the same way. I couldn't do 10 hours of yoga a week, or meditate for an hour every morning, or spend time with all my friends. It was 2020. I had a colicky baby. Like, it just kind of flipped everything on its head. And then I was like, there's something more happening with me from a regulation perspective. And realizing, like, in order for me to show up in the ways I want to as a mother, I'm going to have to figure out what that is.
Do you think
Why is my nervous system not able to calm?
Yeah, I'm curious if you think it was that it was somehow pulling you to do this. Was it you wouldn't have done this otherwise, in other words?
Right. I may have done it otherwise, but this was like fast track.
Do it now.
I have to do it now. Yeah. It didn't feel like I had time. Yeah. That's really what it felt like, a sense of urgency. Like, this kid needs all I can give. And I need to somehow figure that out.
So you have this experience. Presumably it's life-changing, or at least illuminating.
Yeah, I was pretty blown away. Because I come from this clinical background that's like, believing in talk therapy or those kind of modalities. And this was sort of outside of that structure, right? And what I think I felt so humbled, and like, this is such a tool. This could be 10 years of therapy. I couldn't have gotten to the places that I went on that first journey. I don't know how long it would have taken me.
Yeah.
It was more profound than I could. I mean, it changed some of my family of origin beliefs that I've held. At that point, I had a kid at 41, 42, that I'd held this really strong belief, and that actually has virtually disappeared. Like,
so now how do you see the two arts complementing each other? You know, certainly you articulate the limits of talk therapy, and like how can they work together really well?
Well, I think let's see, here's my caution. I think at first, when people started talking about psychedelic work, just like they did, do you know EMDR?
Yeah.
Eye movement desensitization, reprocessing. I do that work as a therapist too. And initially, when EMDR kind of came hot on the market, I say, so to speak, that people were calling me up, like, hearing that it would take 1 to 3 sessions and they could be, quote, cured, or it could disappear, some of their stuff.
What would someone go to someone like you for, looking for EMDR? Would it be
Trauma?
Trauma, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of trauma, anxiety. Yeah. Mostly that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because that's really my specialty too. So, yeah.
Not to detour you too much, but give me like the quick rundown of EMDR. What is it and how does it work?
So it's basically using both sides of the brain. So it's bilateral stimulation. So part of it is when we have a trauma. So let's just talk about it in terms of like a one-time trauma. You get in a car accident. And part of those thoughts, feelings, memories kind of gets locked into one side of the brain. And EMDR, based on, you're working with a bunch of different pieces of therapy. In EMDR, you're working with like a core belief you have, like, I'm not safe. And that would be like a negative cognition. And you're trying to get them to think a positive cognition. So you're working with bilateral stimulation. So you're using both parts of the brain in order to reprocess the memory. So what I use is tappers. So you're holding tappers in each hand and you're taking a memory. It's much more complicated than what I'm telling you. But you go back and forth while they're recalling the memory and working with kind of the core belief system too, to reprocess it and eventually get to a point where maybe their what was the word I'm thinking of, their negative belief or the way they felt about it was at a 10, and then it can drop to, you're trying to get it to a 0 or 1, where you can know what happened to you. You can know I got in a car accident. But when you tell it, you're not having all the physiological responses to it, or it doesn't dysregulate you.
Interesting.
And you can have a different belief about what happened in that experience.
Yeah. So it's really the activation of both hemispheres.
Yeah. And you're moving it back and forth.
Yeah. Fascinating how the brain works.
Yeah, isn't it? I know. You're like, who came up with this? But Francis Shapiro did. Yeah. So people would call about that to be like, okay, I want to do 1 to 3 sessions, hoping that would soothe something in them, that they could finally have relief from this angst or these symptoms related to trauma or anxiety or whatever they were bringing. And you had to do a lot of education about it. Like, there's like a whole resourcing process we have to do to even get to the point where we do the reprocessing part. And then there's the part after. So there was some psychoeducation there. And I feel like with psychedelics, initially, when it first came out, it was like, have this experience and then you're going to be healed. And what I'm understanding, I think we all are understanding, and you can chime in here, but that so much of this work is the preparation and the integration, especially the integration that goes into this kind of work. And you have this journey and you have this like life-changing experience, but then what do you do with it after? And I feel like that's the intersection where therapy can be so helpful for the prep work and so helpful for the integration, so that this does last longer than 2 weeks, a month.
Yeah. Makes sense intuitively.
Yeah.
I would think that on the back end is where the processing, the discussing of what came up and what to make sense of all of that is when you engage with someone on a talk therapy, with a talk therapy client, how do you go about it? I know it's not just casual conversation. What are some of like the big techniques that you think about when you speak with somebody?
Yeah. Well, sort of a framework is really trauma informed and attachment focused. And a lot of the way I work with that is in a relational, experiential way. So what that kind of means is that the work we're doing between us right now, that I am working with what's in the room. So I'm tracking your nervous system. I'm tracking your belief, your body, and we're using what's happening in the room and making that experiential, taking the implicit and making it explicit. So that's a lot of kind of the work I do. And I work with a lot with the nervous system and regulation. So that people can eventually feel safe enough to kind of peek behind the curtain so that they can have a better understanding of what's really going on, the way the past is really showing up in the present. And that's kind of, to me, that's like the magic of the work, so that we can expand the window of tolerance so they can feel more connected, they can be more regulated, they can engage in healing and relationships. So
You're so good at this. You're a great listener, but you also have a real gentle way of provoking introspective thoughts in people that I think is really, really beautiful. It's
thank you.
such a difficult thing, to ask questions. You almost want to, I think of it as you want to ask questions that are things that you may have heard before, but you ask it in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see this, but I sometimes feel that when I listen to other people talk, or even I hear myself talk, we'll just I'll hit a button and I'll say a bunch of words that I've said before, or I've heard other people say, like psychedelics dissolve the ego and disarm boundaries, like all these things that we use to describe the psilocybin experience in particular, but really anything. And if I challenge myself to use different words, then I have to feel what I'm actually talking about, as opposed to just like hit print and it just comes out. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, I think that is like embodiment. And that's part of what we're trying to work with here, is that you're living in a more embodied way. Our intellectual mind, you're switching from the intellectual to the body and the spirit, the soul. Yeah.
Yeah, the embodiment soul perspective feels much more real. Yeah. The other one is like, I'm pulling this idea that's in the abstract world, and then I'm giving you these words, and then you have to like, but there really is something special about that. When people do that well, they don't often use big words, but they'll describe it in a way that it's like you've heard it before, but it's described in a way that's a different angle, and all of a sudden you understand something much deeper. I feel like Alan Watts is really good at that.
That's sweet. That's kind of like the simplicity of it too. Yeah.
Maybe for people who are interested in doing this work and they don't have a background in therapeutic talk therapy,
interested in doing a journey or facilitating?
The facilitating side. If they're thinking like, this is maybe a path for me, or what can I learn? What is there? In many ways, it feels like a totally uncharted territory. When people say, I want to become a psilocybin facilitator, they usually have had a big experience themselves, and that's what drives it. And through their own experience, they say, I want to do this, but they don't understand what is involved in it, and just have a couple data points of their own experience. And the talk therapy is just a huge part of it. It really is the majority of the work from the facilitator's standpoint. And it just seems like such a black box, at least to me initially, until I've seen you and other facilitators work. Yeah, what do you think? What advice would you give yourself, maybe, if you were starting off from that position, from not really knowing anything about talk therapy or facilitation work?
But you knew you wanted to be.
Yeah, you're interested in doing it. Like, what's it like?
What's it like to be a facilitator? Well, this is an interesting question, because I'm going through a really interesting process with facilitation myself, because I have come at this world, well, not only as a highly sensitive, I would say sometimes hyper attuned person in my life, that I'm like very emotionally driven. I really like care about emotion, and that's my world really. Yeah. And facilitation, when I went to the training, so I did have these big psychedelic experiences, and I was like, wow, if I could bring this to people, this could change everything. this could help people. I don't think it's necessarily for everyone. It's not like the magic button, and it's another amazing tool for people to use to live a more expansive life. So facilitation, here's the thing. I'm coming at this from a clinical perspective. So when I went to the facilitation school, what do they call that?
InnerTrack?
Yeah,
Okay.
but when I went to get licensed or went through the program, there was the great unlearning. And this is where I'm still doing a great unlearning.
Okay.
Because my work is so active. I mean, even though it's like part of the work I do is just a lot of attunement and a lot of tracking, moment to moment tracking. I'm just doing a lot of this stuff. Well, facilitation's non-directive. So I'm not the one throwing in all of the interventions. The medicine's doing the work. The person's inner knowing is being, and even though I can buoy that in my sessions with people, you're still doing a job on, so, it's just like different. Facilitation is so different for me. I have to really stand back and hold a space, which I know how to do all of that, but it's really been different for me, actually. Like, that has been a big challenge to be non-directive.
Is it a feeling of like, I don't know what to do here, or
Sometimes.
I'm bored in this position?
Oh, never bored.
Never bored, yeah.
Oh, I think it's like the most, never bored.
Yeah.
I had a client just say that to me the other day. They're like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when I'm like, nothing. I just got to be here with you. Like, what a gift.
Yeah.
But it's not boring. It's just different.
Because there's moments when people are really quiet and it almost looks like they're sleeping, but they're not. And those moments can change at the, flip of a head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And all of a sudden you're now like
on.
Yeah. Fully activated. Yeah. And so it's almost a little bit like, I don't know if being a pilot would be a good one, where like a lot of times you're just like, sailing, we're just cruising, but then all of a sudden the storm hits and it's like, oh, this is why we have a pilot. This is why. Oh man, now we got to land.
For this moment.
Yeah. And now you got literally landing it too. The conclusion, I always feel like the conclusion of the experience, the journeys are the most important, because then you're reconnecting with the world.
Yeah. So beautiful.
And the next day integration is probably the most important meeting. Yeah. Are there any particular types of clients that you enjoy working with more than others?
That's a good question. In facilitation or just in general? Like.
Yeah. Facilitation / talk therapy.
Yeah. So I work a lot with trauma across the board, a bunch of different kinds of trauma. So, gosh, you know what? Right now, this is sort of curious. Like right now, I feel like almost anyone, which is funny to say right now, but I love working with women. I love working with moms or parents. I think they just, to me, this is like the backbone of everything, is being able to support parents and mothers to raise our future. So I feel very committed to them feeling pretty resourced.
Yeah.
Just from my own experience, and then also healing, like some of the stuff with women is a big.
Yeah, it's huge.
Like that's probably my.
Yeah, you could spend the rest of your life doing that, and you'd be very busy and very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I love working with men too. It's so powerful. I think some of what I find it's just like so powerful working with men who are learning about themselves and learning about emotion and what's okay, and how to deepen their relationships with other men, how to deepen their relationships with their children or with their partner. Like that
for
is
sure.
just like
it's very
magical.
much, just across the board, and not part of the like curriculum of life for men. No. And understandably so. We're like beings where, men would go out and hunt and kill and fight, and like, emotions were on the back burner. And so we just translate that into our modern day, but it almost feels so void of emotional dialogue that it's like, that's why men commit suicide at much higher rates.
Yes, at much higher rates,
I think they feel it, but they don't have any way to express it or anybody to express it to. Yeah, and then women tend to be more calibrated to feel, women are on SSRIs much more. And that is, why is that? That's because they...
I have a lot to say about that, but
Yeah, say what you feel about that.
I think this is, if we go back to this like million, all these years ago, hunter-gatherer, all these like evolutionary stuff, like we were living in community and women were with other women. We were helping each other. We connected. We raised each other's children, maybe even breastfed each other's kids. Like that, I can almost cry about that. Like not having that feels like a limb sometimes, like not having something that you need so desperately. And we are here living in an individualistic culture, and we're meant to be in community. So women were like, feel like we should be able to do it all. And the truth is we can't. We're meant to do it together. We're not meant to do it alone. None of us really. So, and we're under-resourced. So we are such a primary attachment provider for our children, and we're pulled away from them too early, and we need to, everything's changed. So we don't have the resources and support that we really need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like a tension between this historical wiring, for lack of a better word, that we have, and in the modern structure, and also like we are solving these problems. It's only because of the washing machine, the dishwasher, cars, that this is possible to have your own house. But then you're not sharing resources, or you're not sharing tasks of meal prep or washing clothes or cleaning. So then, which is great on one level, but then you're like, oh, now I'm totally isolated and I can do this thing.
Yep.
So you pay a price. It's almost like you pay a price for every technology is a source of all of our problems and solutions.
Yeah. Right. It's like optimization. Like we can just optimize every moment, so we don't take breaks to go watch the water boil anymore to get tea. We just push a instant heat button. Right. And then now we aren't taking breaks, and we're not tuning into ourselves. And
same with food. Just think about
everything.
Like what it used to be to pick something off a tree or kill it and honor that thing. And now it's like, and you almost can't, I don't know, I've thought about this. You almost can't even escape it. Like you have to pay. It's like the step function price. You can have chickens, maybe that's like something you could do, but even that's probably like 2% of your caloric intake. Like to have even more than a little garden is like, okay, now all of a sudden you're a homesteader, where you're like, I'm way out there, I got my own, and that's your entire life. I had this thought that maybe technology provides, maybe there's like, whether it's robots or some technology that's like, you can package the benefits of what we're describing. Like you grow your own food and you have your own animals and you can honor that connection and you're in community. But the brute labor involved is reduced because you have like, I don't know, a robot that you can go and tell to like dig 50 holes or something, where that there's just such a hard physical life that so many people opt to live in cities like we do. So I don't know, maybe there's like a whole new way that it comes about again. It feels like these urges aren't going anywhere.
No.
Or food's not getting healthier.
No.
At least in main big food companies.
Yeah.
How about, go ahead.
It's funny. I think a lot of what I see in my work right now, I'd say just like in this moment, like even in the last, I don't know, few months maybe, is that it seems like because we have access to so much information and so much biohacking our lives and all the information overload we have, that this is becoming its own problem, right? People are so overwhelmed by just the tasks of everyday life that becomes what we're managing. It's just like how to do it all. And that seems to be so heightened right now. Like I just see that coming in client after client right now.
Where they have a difficult time
managing all that they need to in their life because they're trying to work, manage a household, manage aging parents, manage their health. So they got to take 5,000 supplements, and then they learned about microplastic. It's like literally people are bringing this in like, I've learned all this stuff. Now there's all these things I need to do, and I can't take care of myself is kind of, but they're trying so hard to take care of themselves. You know what I mean? Like I'm taking all of these supplements and I'm running, but they're still not feeling whole.
Yeah.
Yes, or
it almost feels
centered.
like the way that we've structured society with like our physical house distances, the machines we use, creates this like, what would you call it? Like a demand of your time if all that's not working perfectly well, like all of a sudden, my parents live 5,000 miles away. So I'll have to rely on either physically go there or rely on, healthcare providers. I don't know. I don't know how that looks, but I'm sure that happens across the board.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts, ideas you wanted to convey or topics you're interested in?
Well, I think I'm really, right now, my whole thing is like optimization versus ritual, kind of like, that's like a big thing I'm swirling around right now.
Optimization versus ritual. So what comes to mind?
Kind of that tea scenario where maybe what used to happen, maybe we'd be in an office or maybe you are in an office and you would go make tea and you'd go to a room and you'd make the tea and it would boil and then you'd steep it, or you'd take that break for yourself in the middle of your day and then you'd go back and get back to work or something. But now it just feels like we're in that instant, like, okay, now I don't take that break for myself. Now I just go get the tea, push the button, and then I just go back and start working more. And the loss of that ritual of like, oh, I got to take a break. I got to go, like make a tea, pour water. Like there's something about that is feeling really lost right now. And I think that's part of what I was talking about with clients, is that to build that in feels too big for people right now. To be like, oh, what if you did take 10 minutes out of your day to go make a cup of tea? That's feeling really hard for people to do. And because the more we make things easy for us, it's feeling also like it's making it harder for us right now too. So that's the interplay right now, is I'm kind of like curious about, because ritual's been such a big part.
Yeah. It's almost like there's this expression, Parkinson's law, where you take the time allotted for any task. So it's like, do these 5 math problems. You have a month, like you'll take a full month to do it.
Yeah.
And maybe there's true of like, we fill our lives with everything that someone would say that I don't have time to make tea because I have to check this account and I have to like reload this thing. I have to charge this, or I have to talk to this person.
Yeah.
All those things really are optional. Like you have to eat, sleep, live around other people. So we just like fill every moment we have, we fill it. Like, I had an hour free in the afternoon, so I built a microgreens little thing in my kitchen. And so now instead of like doing nothing, I do that. So, you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Yeah. You can never have enough hobbies.
Or you can't really let yourself off the hook sometimes. I'm just like, it feels like a negotiation. I'm just like, well, if I do that thing for myself, then this isn't going to get done. And like That's
Yeah,
just like
it's
an
like the
interesting-
greatest luxurious experience would just be to do nothing for an entire day. Yeah.
Yeah.
If only we were so lucky and privileged
Just take it.
do nothing.
Just like, what if you just took it?
Awesome.
That would
Well,
be great.
thanks for coming by
Yeah,
and doing this.
yeah.
I really enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
I really love to have you part of the team. And
Yeah,
obviously our
me too.
families are so close. So
Yeah.
it's meant so much to have you
Yeah. Same.
in our lives.
Yeah. Same. Thank you.
Sweet.
Sweet.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.